Looks like we missed one tiny detail from the incident in which Takeoff lost his life that could be very important. See, if you pay close attention, you'll find out that Lil Cam apologized to Quavo right before the shooting took place. Now, the damage is done and there's no force in this world that could bring back Take, but this does somewhat change the previous scenario that we had about who was responsible for the shooting. And most of all, this could change the legal procedures that are coming up in the near future quite a bit. Perhaps this will be a way out for some of the parties that were involved that awful night, so let's break it down and see what this means in the grand scheme of things. We've told it plenty of times, and we'll probably tell it again. In the early morning of the 1st of November, Takeoff, one of the 3 rappers from the famous ATL group Megos, lost his life after a terrible accident. This happened in Houston, Texas, in front of a bowling alley where Takeoff, Quavo, and several other people, including Mob Ties members, had a party. After the party had finished, most of the people who attended the party left and gathered around in front of the bowling alley. They gathered around because they overheard Quavo and another person arguing about something. And in fact, that was the case. Quavo did have an argument with someone, but from the surveillance video, we can't see who that person was. However, it was later said that this person was a member of the Mob Ties, a known mob group of influential people with J Prince as the head honcho. Of course, J Prince Jr., as his son, is also an important part of the family. Everyone knows that Megos had affiliations with the Mob Ties, and this is no secret. They had a good connection with these people from Houston, and that's the reason why they visited J Prince's family so often. But for some reason, there was a quarrel that Quavo was a part of, and everyone who was there sensed that the conversation was very tense, because you could hear them talking about basketball. Most folks thought that the problem started because of a basketball game that Quavo participated in earlier in the day. But who knows the real reason why they caught themselves in an argument. Others believe that since they started arguing because someone lost a lot of money that night. People were shooting dice that night, and when dice are played, someone's got to be on the losing end. Regardless, we know that a little after Quavo decided that he had enough of the nonsense, the shooting took place. As he told the person that he was about to leave, someone fired their gun off, and before you knew it, everyone else pulled out their own burners too. One thing left to another, and it soon escalated to a gunfight. There were 3 victims in the shooting, but only one person lost their life. That person was Takeoff, who died in the holding arms of his brother and fellow artist Quavo. People were very quiet about the whole incident up until recently. First people who decided to address the incident publicly are the members of the Mob Ties. Last Sunday, in an interview with the channel $1 Million Worth of Game came out in episode 205, they brought in the Mob Ties family. Both J Prince Jr. and Sr. came to the episode and they started sharing their views of what they thought took place that night. J Prince Sr. pointed out the fact that a lot of people overlooked and reminded us that Lil Cam apologized for the misunderstanding. J Prince said in the interview,
"Man, I apologize if you took that wrong. I was just talking about basketball." You know, how humble can you be? After apologizing like that, you gonna hit him with a pistol?
and if you pay attention, you can hear it in this video too. A few seconds later, Quavo turns his back on Cam and started walking away. Gunfire could be heard coming from both sides. The rest is all history, man. Now this puts things into perspective. This could as well help Patrick Clark, who was brought in as the shooter. His defense is that he wasn't the one who shot first. He was acting in self-defense because someone else shot at him first. The fact that an apology did come Quavo's way from Lil Cam also reduces his role in the incident and puts the accent on the 2 other things as being the main culprits of the incident. First, the fact that Quavo basically left out a threat as he was leaving the spot. That's why plenty of people who saw the video claim that Quavo was responsible in some part for what happened. DJ Academics broke down the entire situation during his interview with DJ Vlad. He explained it saying,
Quavo says, you know what? I'm gonna walk off. He's like, yo, let's go. But I'm gonna also be honest, he says something that I think could have incited the whole thing. Not that necessarily is his fault. He says, man, let me get on it. Let me get up on out of here before I hurt somebody. And when you think about all these situations, like what people don't like to admit about from the streets, emotionally immature. They don't know, like, one diss, one say the wrong word, that's a shootout. You know what I mean? Say something they can perceive as a threat, they have to go super quote unquote alpha. They got to jump out the window. You know what I mean? And I think when Quavo says that, I think someone acted on behalf of whoever he was arguing with.
And 2, we got Migo Bands. who allegedly either pistol whipped someone or punched a person. That's why the camera moved so suddenly right before the shooting happened. What's really going to happen in court? We can't tell exactly at this time, but oftentimes it happens that justice is never met in famous cases like this one. In general, people still feel quite disappointed about this whole situation. There's so much that went wrong and we could have easily been avoiding it. Pride is one example that comes to your mind. One person online wrote, "Sometimes as a man you gotta realize you got something more to protect than your pride." Some people believe that Quavo did the biggest mistake. His emotions got the best of him, and that's how he ended up in this tough spot. Quavo has been so emotional on numerous occasions. Caught up with him and got his nephew killed. 1/3 of the Megos is no longer with us, and the rest seem to be on bad terms. Just last week, we saw him enter a scuffle over Takeoff and his legacy. But what y'all think about this apology that came in from Lil Cam means for the entire incident? Do you think it changes the perspective of those at fault that night, or do you think it won't really matter that much? Will there be any justice for what was done to Takeoff, or is this one gonna roll out similarly like some other high-profile cases where we see one person behind bars but it's never really satisfying? Let us know about your thoughts and opinions down below in the comments section.